What's up, everybody? It is Esoteric Nomad again, and I just wanted to get on here real quick, and just share some things that I've sort of been recently experiencing, and I genuinely feel like, maybe there's someone out there who might be going through a similar situation, or has in the past, and will quite possibly remember how this felt. Recently myself, I wouldn't say recently, but it's been about a year since I recently ended my last relationship. And, when they say, growth isn't linear, well, I'm also realizing that grief is not linear either. And that, I'm thinking, I'm going to cry it all out, I'm going to get it all out. And then when I don't feel like crying anymore, I must be over it, right? Especially me, personally, it's been over the past 5 or 6 years that I've begun to realize that crying and releasing those emotions is so important, and how holding them in wasn't doing me a damn bit of good, except for repressing anger. By repressing anger, it was just building inside of me. And they say energy cannot be created nor destroyed, so where does it go? When you repress it, it comes out and got a number of ways. That's a lot of reasons why people fall into addictions and slip back into addictions after they've been sober for a while. I'm realizing another layer of how important it is to just let those emotions come when they do, as far as grief especially is concerned, and also anger, but keeping in mind how we're doing that. Of course, we don't want to just, like I was doing for a while, I felt like a ticking time bomb. It was like this constant pressure, feeling like you're literally getting smushed in between two giant boulders. It was just so constricting and full of anxiety, and I hated it. And it was a process of me finding healthy outlets for that, to where I feel like that allowed me to work it, by finding those healthy outlets for anger, it allowed me to sort of tame that initial reactionary feeling. And so, it just over time, that was kind of the side effect of if I would go to the gym or, do something physical, run, walk, get tired, get sweaty, play basketball. If I would write, if I would start doing some art, if I would find some sort of way to release that anger, just in a sense, distracting my mind. It's not like I would just, I'm not going to think about it, but just trying to do something with that energy. And I think over time I realized that now I am able to pause before I just, and of course there's different things that will trigger different types of reactions in people, right? But yeah, I'm realizing that's the same in grief also. I honestly, I guess for myself, I had usually experienced grief as, I cry it all out. And, when I don't feel like crying anymore, maybe not thinking I'm completely healed from it, but that it's easy to put it out of mind, right? It's easy to not have it, because it's naturally just sort of phasing out. You're like, thank God, I don't have to feel this shit anymore. Oh, I must be getting better. It's not on your mind all the time. It's not holding you down. It's not making you feel some type of way. And so, essentially, you become complacent. We become complacent after a while, thinking that maybe. And then, no, this isn't to say for everybody, sometimes if you feel, you feel, but just for my personal experience, it's just been interesting to watch how this entire process over a year's time has released stages of awareness and understanding myself and my worth. And I don't want to feel this. That statement, in the past for me would have been, well, I'm going to get high, I'm going to do something. And now when I say I don't want to feel this now, I'm like, well, now I need to pay attention to what these emotions are telling me and process it and get to it, because, that is the quickest way through, is to just go ahead and handle it and feel it and then release it. So, my whole oh, I don't want to deal with this. It's changed. And that's pretty amazing. Because with addiction, we think, oh, I can just take something and that's it. Like it's out of sight, out of mind. No. Because then you're like replacing that chemical for dopamine and all these other things. And it's like, what you're replacing doesn't really go away. It's like you swing to the other extreme dramatically. And it kind of just leaves that emotion hanging there. So I think processing the emotions and really feeling it and taking that time it allows it to just seep out on its own in a steady pace, and some days it feels like that shit, like the knob has been turned all the way and it's wide open and it's flooding out and it's like, oh my God. And then, I'm realizing that it can trickle out. And sometimes when you think, well, that's just about it, isn't it? Like, I've felt about all you can feel. Good. A moment will happen and it's like, in the past I would sort of, oh, well, why am I feeling this? And don't get me wrong, I still do this in certain things. I feel like one of my first instincts is to question why. Like, why am I doing this? Or why am I feeling this? Especially if I haven't felt it in so long. Especially if I've, when I've thought about it in the past, it hasn't brought up that same dreading feeling of, just that terrible heartbreak or that immense sadness. If that's gone, then surely I must be better. Quote, better. So, I luckily and fortunately, and, I'm thanking my guides and my higher self, just for, I've been listening to that over this entire period of time and just allowing it to come. And yes, I'm still questioning it. I was, and, I might just continue to do so. But now when I question it, it's not just like I get caught up in the questioning of, oh, well, it's like a never-ending loop of just why is this happening, and sort of kind of beating myself up in that interrogation, like, oh, you should be over this, you should be past this, you've already dealt with this is, don't be a baby, like, this is in the past, so much time has passed, you shouldn't still be affected by it in this way. Now it's like, when I'm thinking why, I'm really trying to examine, like, what else could this be trying to teach me? Why else is this coming up again? But not judging it when it does. They talk about allowing your emotions to come up and not judging them as they do. And I'm seeing in real time, like, how crucial that is, because when you judge your emotions, why would they want to come up? It's like they get shy. Like, none of us like to be judged. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to be judged. And so why judge your emotions? Your emotions are coming up to teach you and to help you and to, rid your body of things and all these things. And I know myself, and I'm sure there's many others who it's like, we make our emotions feel like dog shit, don't we? It's like, why are you feeling this? Oh, don't be a pussy, blah, 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 blah. And, I'm not saying this is everybody, but I know for myself, this has been many of an experience that I have exhibited, and I'm sure there's other people out there like that. So yeah, those are just some of my thoughts on some of the most recent things that I've been processing, especially during this eclipse season, you guys. It is, it's raw out there, isn't it? I think whether you believe in astrology or a lot of spiritual stuff, woo-woo stuff, whatever if you're at that place where you feel like it's just so far out there, and surely the planets and the stars and all that stuff can't affect us. Like, that's insane. Blah 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 blah. Maybe it's not so insane, right? I feel like I'm hoping more of humanity is coming around to the concept of, like, these things are affecting us, and it's not to run in fear from it or to judge it as it's like, like, it's like an emotion. Like, why are we treating it so poorly when it's like, we know it's affecting us, or we hear that it's a possibility that it could be. Instead, maybe consider, all right, well, learning more about it, and then looking at your own life and seeing if something related to said planet or influence is actually affecting you, and then maybe try to process things through the lens of that information. I don't think it's a negative thing to question. You're not going to burst in flames. And I know, like, my younger self would have probably fallen into believing that. And I know, a lot of older, more traditional generations might still sort of look at spirituality or the universe and the planets and the stuff in astrology as like, oh, it's like demonic or whatever. And it's truly not. Like I've been living proof that things, like we're all going through crap, right? Nobody's life is perfect all the time, like you might have all the thing, your needs met, and you might be living in luxury, but if you haven't been there, I just feel like it's unavoidable. We're all going through crap at some point or another, and it's not to say it has to be something gravely traumatic, but we're all dealing with, power struggles and, just different dynamics in our relationships, and these things are influenced by, a lot of the transits and things that are going on, and it's just been helpful for me to pay attention to that and to really sort of use that as a modality in itself to shape my growth. And it's been really helpful. This eclipse season, like I was saying a second ago, it's been raw. And, I'm a Libra rising, and we had the first eclipse. I think it was the partial lunar eclipse or something like that. Don't quote me. Just recently at the end of March, and we have another eclipse coming up on the 8th of April. And I believe that one is in Aries. I think that's the solar eclipse. And so there's a lot of Aries themes and Libra themes coming up, and in a big and like dramatic wild card sort of way. And I know for myself, like just paying attention to my emotions, like that's a teacher, that's been a big theme. Like revisit the things that, like asking myself, like how do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? And I think one of the things I heard recently that was really helpful for me, it was like, pay attention to what your body's telling you. Sometimes we don't know what we're feeling. We don't even recognize that we're feeling something, but we can recognize a sensation in our bodies. Tightness in the chest or racing heart or something like that. Like we may not necessarily say we feel anxious, but the first time someone felt anxious, I'm sure they didn't know that it was called anxiety. They were just like, oh, my heart is racing like a motherfucker, and they probably felt fearful, but there was no term to it. So pay attention to the sensations in your body. And that was a huge indicator for me that I was still processing things, and that's okay. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to be a wreck and miserable and all these things. No, I'm allowing myself to feel it and process it and talk it out with you guys. And I hope, everybody out there, if you're not in therapy, not to say you have to be, but that you're just talking amongst your friends and family, loved ones, all of that, just, that we're being real and honest with ourselves, if nobody else, that we're doing that with ourselves. And so, I just wanted to get on here quickly and share that with you guys. I hope everybody's staying safe out there in those cosmic streets. Let's be kind to ourselves. Let's drink water. Yes, it helps. It helps hydrate, it cleanse, especially if you're a water sign. I hope everyone's keeping their vibes high as possible, taking care of themselves, and I'll talk to you guys next time.